we are, ladies and gentlemen, back in the studio, Hudson County View, live and uncut. I'm your host, the reflection of perfection, and your number one selection for Hudson County elections, John R. Hudson. And today we're going to talk about what happened on Tuesday. Of course, we know the result of the Jersey City Airbnb, that short-term rental referendum that we spoke about for many weeks. And of course, it was a resounding yes from the voters. So we're going to tell you a little bit about that. And we're also going to speak about that extremely expensive Board of Education race with over $400,000 down the drain. We got a split ticket, 3 from Education Matters, 2 from Change for Children. Obviously, we want to talk to you about that result as well. In the Mile Square City, just down the road in Hoboken, we have 5 incumbents winning, and we have Mayor Ravi Bala picking up 1 seat. So obviously, you want to hear the details about that as well. And then in the Peninsula City, over in Bayonne, we saw Neil Carroll III take down 3 challengers, including a spirited effort from Peter Franco, but still looked like a pretty comfortable victory by our incumbent at the end of the day there. So obviously, we're going to chat about that, as well as the 3 prospective members of that Board of Education. Of course, that's again in Bayonne. So with all that, we just want to get right to it, but we want to first get a word from our sponsors. Just stick with us, just right back.
It takes more than a state-of-the-art medical facility to make a great hospital. It takes a team of dedicated medical professionals. That's the Jersey City Medical Center, Hudson County's #1 hospital. Medical teams consisting of New Jersey's top doctors, Magnet Award-winning nurses, and accomplished hospital associates, all committed to your good health. That's what you have at the Jersey City Medical Center. Make Hudson County's #1 hospital your first choice. Visit us on the web at barnabashealth.org. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and launch inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net.
Hudson County View, live and uncut. John R. Hudson, joined with my esteemed colleague Mark Bucinich. Mark, good to have you back. Took a couple weeks off. Thanks for understanding.
Yeah, sure. Glad to be back, John.
All right. So first off, let's talk about Airbnb. I mean, we spoke about this who knows how many weeks in a row, but it was certainly quite a few. And the end result, I guess you could say, was a bit anticlimactic, right? It didn't end up being that firefight at the polls we expected. It looked like a pretty solid margin of victory for the yes vote. It looked like it was almost 2.5 to 1. It was approximately 14,000, I'm going to say 500 to about 6,200. I mean, those final tallies aren't in yet, but clearly the result is not in doubt. So your take on that, Mark?
Yeah, it is interesting, John. I mean, and I think you're right. I thought maybe it would be a little bit closer. According to the numbers I have here just in front of me, you weren't that too far off. 14,750 votes for yes, and 6,261 votes for no. So in other words, the city was victorious in this battle, including Jersey City Mayor Stephen Fulop and all the elected officials. I think you've mentioned in your reporting about 44 different entities, which included a variety of organizations and elected officials who wanted to get the message out to the voters to make sure that they voted yes to have regulations on the books, as opposed to some of the other organizations that were opposed, including the Jersey City, local chapter of the NAACP and Northeast New Jersey Carpenters Union.
Correct, Mark. So before we get into the particulars, let's take a look at some of our officials celebrating the win over at the Zeppelin Hall Beer Garden on Tuesday night.
This is what teamwork looks like. This is why it is so important to work with you all and have you open your homes to your neighbors so we can share what sensible regulation looks like. This is what happens when you listen to residents and you craft an ordinance that's fair and does the best it can for the most good for the most residents in the city. So we just want to thank you guys, thank this fantastic team, and really this is as much as your victory as it is ours.
You know, this was a tough ordinance. We worked as a team with the administration and the council to get this passed, and then it became a tough fight. And I don't know if anyone's calculated the numbers of how much Airbnb spent per vote that they just got, but it was a waste of money. It was a waste of money because of what the councilwoman said. We were grounded in our community, and they were investors parachuting into Jersey City. And we sent them a message for them and for other investors that they can't do that in our community.
That's what the city is all about. We always on top and we always fight to comes together. When we have a team like this that puts an ordinance up like this with numbers like this is what it's all about. Thank you so much.
They thought that when the council passed that ordinance, that if they get enough signatures, like they did in San Diego, and when San Diego City Council reversed their ordinance and said we're not going to fight, they thought that when they got the 25,000 signatures in Jersey City, that we would put our tail between our legs and go home. And they learned something tonight that we're not going to do that in Jersey City. And so today, we sent a message that despite the $5 million that they spend, despite the misinformation, despite the lies, and despite the fact that they tried to mislead Jersey City residents day in and day out for the last month and a half, Jersey City did the research, they understood the issue, and they came out strong to vote saying we want responsible rules and regulations. So congratulations, Jersey City. A strong statement tonight.
All right, so now that you've seen that, look, when the smoke settled, it really didn't end up being that competitive. I mean, it seemed competitive. I mean, I know my mailbox was getting just flooded with mail every day. Every time I turned on the TV, it seemed like there was another ad for Airbnb. You log on to Twitter, again, Airbnb. Even people I know that live in Passaic, Bergen, Essex, even South Jersey, Airbnb. But at the end of the day, after $5.5 million down the tubes, it really was a pretty non-competitive contest at the polls.
Seems that way, John. I mean, quite remarkable, I guess, right? Again, I thought what I said earlier, I thought for sure it would be a little bit closer, given all the money that Airbnb corporate that is based in San Francisco, how much money that they put into this contest. And obviously, people, the reporting has been, as you reported, and what city officials have argued that the reason why Airbnb was so determined to win this contest is because that they were hoping to use Jersey City as an example before it was hoping to launch an IPO on Wall Street.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that they're still going to go public next year, but certainly this wasn't the result they were hoping for over on the West Coast. So, you know, we'll see what kind of reflection that it will have across the whole country here. I mean, you know, you saw Mayor Fulop say a couple times actually on Tuesday that this is going to set the precedent nationally. And I think that's a pretty fair statement to make. I think that was a pretty reasonable assessment. At the end of the day, you know, Airbnb dumped in about $4.1 million. You know, certainly the city, mayor, and council had their allies as well. Of course, the Hotel Trades Council, AFL, CIO. So, you know, some large union interest, of course. But at the end of the day, Jersey City said, you know, listen, we want smart, sensible regulations, or at least that's how they saw them, because otherwise I don't think they would have voted yes, right?
I think that's right, John. You know, it's interesting that while the city has been saying that it needed these regulations, Airbnb has been on their part has been saying that they've been for regulations too, and they pointed to cities like San Francisco and Seattle, even though they really haven't specified like what those regulations have been. But nonetheless, it would seem that a very reasonable, sensible regulation is to make sure, which is going to stay in the books, it's not being overturned just because the Airbnb lost this battle. What's still on the books, what still the ordinance still is that as long as it's owner occupied, those owners still will be able to rent out for short-term rentals.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, that's true. I mean, I think the biggest change that most of the vote no people incensed was the fact that now if you're a renter, you're no longer able to utilize that space for an Airbnb or other short-term rental. So that's one change that I think a lot of people had some strong feelings about. Another one is that now it must be owner occupied, which, like you said, I mean, it was mostly changed, but it was mostly the same before, excuse me, but some of that language is a little different as well. And I think those were really the two main things that are, you know, hitting me right now. Was there anything else that you wanted to note about the changes here?
Well, like you said, I mean, regarding the renters, that's right. I mean, in fact, we interviewed one of those renters, Nathan Taylor, an artist, Jersey City-based artist, and it'd be interesting to follow up with him to find out, well, now that, you know, now that this ordinance has passed, and it means that he will no longer be able to rent out his own apartment in a house that he rents from an owner, what will be his options now?
Sure. So, you know, look, obviously this is something that's going to take some time to implement. I mean, I think it'll go through well beyond 2021 when the next mayor and council race will be. So that is certainly going to be a lot of fun. But with that, we're going to come back and talk to you a bit about the Board of Education, but we're going to hear a quick commercial break. Stay put.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers the quality of life you deserve in 10 high-rise rental towers with amenities such as the on-site Newport Path subway, light rail and ferry service, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Sears, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams Supermarket is just outside your front door. A health and fitness club, spa, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. NewportNJ.com. Enjoy the New York skyline from Newport Town Square. Manhattan is just one path stop away or quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Want to visit Newport? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. Go to NewportNJ.com for details. Newport has luxurious towers, great restaurants, shopping, New York skyline views, schools, playgrounds, a marina and yacht club, gym, spa, fine wine, fine living. It's incredible. It's you. NewportNJ.com. Newport. Live like you want.
The Jersey City Medical Center. You know it for its award-winning, life-saving ambulance service. It's also your health hub, with health and wellness locations staffed with certified professionals all through Hudson County. The Jersey City Medical Center. Here to help you with your healthy, here when you need us the most. The Jersey City Medical Center. Visit us on the net to learn more. Jersey City Medical Center, Robert Wood Johnson, Barnabas Health Facility. Let's be healthy together.
And we're back, Hudson County View live and uncut. John R. Haitis joined with Mark Bucinich. So we got so into the Airbnb, we did touch on it all, the Board of Ed, and certainly that warrants a conversation in and of itself. So long story short, we have a split ticket, the Education Matters slate that was backed by the Jersey City Education Association, picked up 3. They got Gina Vertibello, the top vote getter, LaKendrick Shaw, and Gerald Lyons. And now joining them from Change for Children is Noemi Velasquez and Alexander Hamilton. So, Mark, obviously this was another remarkably pricey contest. I mean, over $400,000 spent across the board. You know, very unique given that these board seats don't even come with a salary, but we are where we are, and that is the final say. I mean, it looks like these were very definitive answers. It doesn't look like anybody's within striking distance, no recounts, no challenges. I think this one's in the books. What's your final take on the Jersey City Board of Education contest?
Yeah, it was another interesting contest there, right? And again, taking place in Jersey City. It was, I guess my initial reaction was seeing how former board president Sudan Thomas lost the race. And
well, just to clarify, he is the board president through December.
Okay, so, but come the new year, he'll be replaced by another board chair. So it was interesting again to see how, like you said, how much money flooded this race, given that nobody's making a salary. We saw how the Jersey City Education Association and their parent union through their super PAC, Garden State Forward.
That's right.
And also the other PAC on the other side, Fair in New Jersey, which is backed by the LaFrac organization, which is obviously a prominent real estate developer. So in some of the reporting, John, one of your articles, the spokesperson from Fair in New Jersey was pointed out that, well, they felt that, you know, in fact, I think it was one of the winners, actually, may have been Naomi Velasquez, who you quoted, who said, I think the voters realized it was time for change. And I think that some of the issues surrounding Sudan, obviously regarding his tenure while he was with the Jersey City Employment and Training Program, and obviously with news weeks before the election that the FBI might be investigating with a court filing, even though they didn't name him in the court filing. Nonetheless, I think that was some bad press for him, and it looks like it came back to bite him a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, look, that whole JSEP thing obviously didn't do him any favors. Obviously, JSEP and the Board of Ed don't work together in many, if any, capacities, but certainly that's not the kind of thing that you want going around during an election cycle. There was a big feature in the Journal. It was actually the cover story today that talked about all the lawsuits he's been involved in. It also talked about some of the budget shortfalls, which I don't really think you could put on one person, but being the board president during that tenure, you know, obviously it's a tough place to be.
Sure.
And on top of all that, you know, the whole Marsha Lyles thing, which she's still collecting a salary. We still have an acting superintendent.
Right.
So look, there's just a lot of unrest in that Board of Education, and you throw that JSEP stuff on top of it, I guess it was just too heavy of a lift for one person.
And also when you factor in also the amount of money that was coming in, that's obviously supported all the messaging from the Fair New Jersey PAC organization, they knew that Sudan was vulnerable in that regards, and they knew that they could exploit some of the problems that the board has been going through, like you said, even though it's not the responsibility of just one person. But for sure, in their messaging, they did exploit that.
Yeah, I mean, no question about it. I mean, you look at their social media, which was obviously under scrutiny in the past last few days, but you look at their mail, you look at their TV spots. I mean, you know, it was clear who their target was. I mean, you saw the endorsement from Council President Rolando Lavaro, and you know, him and Sudan were pretty much this close to killing each other. But if just to use a little hyperbole, they certainly are not on each other's Christmas cards list, if I had to stake a claim.
Yeah, no, and you had reported that story, John, that Council President Rolando Lavaro came out in favor of Change for Children, while some other, obviously some of the other council members were in favor of Education Matters slate, which is backed by the local teachers union. But Rolando was quoted as saying in the article that, well, with with the FBI investigating the matters over at the Jersey City Employment and Trading Program, for him it was an easy decision to choose another candidate.
Yeah, I mean, when Ward E Councilman James Solomon, I mean, he gave his endorsement, I believe it was just the night before. It was certainly less than a day. And he said something similar. He said he endorsed a split ticket, and he said, for this reason, I can't support the board president. Obviously, no love lost between Councilman Solomon and board president Thomas either. But look, we'll see what happens. Obviously, it looks like the dire straits right now, but he's certainly showed that he could take some punishment. So let's see where he is in a year or two. I mean, who knows? But it's tough to predict political futures here in Hudson County, but obviously not the result that he was looking for here. So with all that in mind, Mark, you obviously were able to make it over to Bayonne on Tuesday night, which was, you know, vital. I mean, there's no way I could have made it to all three towns. So, of course, big thanks to you and Corey.
Sure.
You know, definitely doing your due diligence. So just tell us what it was like over at campaign headquarters with Neil Carroll III, and if you had any interaction with the Franco camp as well.
Yes, it was about maybe a half hour after the polls closed, and we was standing, obviously, in the campaign headquarters when about a half hour after the polls closed, Bayonne Mayor Jimmy Davis said, "Our next councilman," referring to Neil Carroll III. And so we had an opportunity to interview the new councilman. He's been obviously on the council now for about a year, 11 months, that is.
Yeah.
And now he'll be the full-time councilman for the next 3 years. So we had a chance to ask him for his immediate reaction. He's obviously thrilled. And, you know, we followed up with him, you know, based on the interviews that you had conducted with him and and the three other candidates who are running for the First Ward Council seat. And obviously, we wanted to follow up with him that one of the criticisms that he has endured is from the closest competitor, Peter Franco, that he had approved or authorized, or he voted for about 8 tax abatements for developers during his tenure on the city council. And then we also asked him whether or not he would be in favor, because this is something that was important to Peter Franco, increasing the pilot payment in lieu of tax revenues from what was originally 5% and bumped up to 10%, whether or not he'd be open to even increasing that, because I think Peter Franco said he would like to see that even up to 20%. And Mr. Carroll said that it's a discussion he would be willing to entertain.
Yeah, I mean, we heard that. I mean, obviously you were present for the Board of Ed debate. It sounds like a lot of our candidates and some officials are starting to warm up to the idea of bumping that number up to 20. I mean, whether or not we see that in the new year, of course, remains to be seen, but it's certainly a conversation that it looks like is ripe for the picking in Bayonne. So I don't want to cut you short on this. We're going to have further discussion on Bayonne. So we're going to go to a break, then we're going to come back with a clip from Councilman-elect Carroll, and then we're going to talk more. We'll see you in a few.
Good Friend Self Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate-controlled facility equipped with state-of-the-art security, packing supplies, a Refer a Friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunnelly Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201-867-2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self Storage. Let us be your good friend.
Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Panapinto Properties, Jersey City. Shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office space and an address your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment. Adjacent to all modes of transportation. On-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. 201-521-9000 or visit on the web at panapintoproperties.com. Panapinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Rama Jewelers, located in the Lyndhurst Shopping Center at 413 Valley Brook Avenue, Lyndhurst. Come for all your jeweler needs at Rama Jewelers, where you will find a fine selection of necklaces, earrings, rings, and bracelets. Choose from one of our complete sets, our many signature items, or find the perfect engagement ring. Come on down. That's Rama Jewelers at 413 Valley Brook Ave, Lyndhurst. Call 201-939-5784 or visit us online today.
Obviously, these don't include the vote by mail, which are still being counted as we speak by the county, and we won't know those results. But the unofficial totals that we receive from our polling locations are for Neil Carroll right now as 4C, 1,287. For Peter Franco, he received 602 votes. For Paul Hagdorn, 237. And for John Cupo, 214.
Councilman Carroll, congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's an exciting victory. We had a lot of great people in the room tonight, and the campaign took off. I mean, it was organic growth from the day one, and what we achieved today was amazing, and it was a team effort.
Now that you've been elected, you 3-year term, obviously development in the city has been important, but your opponent, Peter Franco, has said, well, maybe some of that money, abatements, can be used towards funding of schools. What's your answer to that proposition?
My answer is that that's currently ongoing. We've been implementing a plan that has given money from the pilots to the schools, and if we want to continue a conversation about perhaps expanding that, then that's a conversation I would engage in.
And so now that you've been elected for the next 3 years, Councilman, what's going to be a priority for you in addition to the funding of schools?
My priority is going to be what I believe got me elected tonight, and that is accessibility. From day one, everybody got my number, everybody got my location, they knew where to find me, they knew how to get in touch with me, and they did, and I called them back. Anybody that left a message got a return phone call, and that translated to the small things getting done. Because it's great to do wonderful things, it's great to build monuments, but at the end of the day, I think most of the people want someone that's going to answer their specific concerns. Everybody's major problem is their problem, so I'm trying to solve it for them.
All right, and we're back. Hudson County View live and uncut. John R. Haitis, Mark Bucinich. So, Mark, any just final thoughts on the council race in Bayonne?
Well, I tried to get Peter Franco's reaction, John, but he wasn't willing to give a statement at that time. And he said he would be submitting his answer and the campaign's answer the following morning, but didn't receive one.
Yeah, it looks like they just opted to post something on social media, on his private Instagram. He said something that, he was proud of the campaign that he ran. He's happy that he was a candidate, and he hopes that anybody who has had a quote-unquote wrongful conviction is not afraid to move forward with their life and won't let that define them. Of course, I'm paraphrasing, but that was essentially the sentiment that Peter put out there. Obviously, a hot topic at the beginning of this election cycle was this sexual assault of a minor charge. Obviously, he still says to this day that he's innocent. Mm-hmm. Certainly, we weren't there. All we could report on was the documents that the federal government had. Listen, I don't know how much that weighted on the voters, but to be honest with you, it looked like the Bayonne Democratic machine was just too much to overcome. I think even if we did have that out there, it would have been really difficult to see anybody backed by Davis and the Democratic Party losing. A fair assessment?
That's a pretty fair assessment, John. I mean, the assembly, there were at Neil Carroll's headquarters on the election night. There was Bayonne Mayor Jimmy Davis and the Assemblyman Nick Chiavarati, that is. He was in attendance as well. And some of the council members were there. The council speaker was there. A couple of council members from Bayonne were there as well. So it seemed like that Neil Carroll had a lot of support from members of the community and the political establishment, for sure.
Yeah, so just a quick notation on that. So Mayor Davis and the council also endorsed the Board of Education slate known as Together We Can. And two of those candidates look like they're in the winner's circle. That's Jan Egan and Lisa Burke. And also Dennis Wilbeck, one of the incumbents, the current vice president, who has been endorsed by the mayor in the past, though he wasn't endorsed this time around.
Right.
So again, it looked like a very strong night for Jimmy Davis. We'd like to talk about that more, but we're running a little short on time. So it would be a full circle election if we didn't talk about Hoboken. So. You know, Mark, obviously you're aware, and I'm sure anybody watching this at any point is aware by now, that the 5 incumbents are back in, and the seat that was basically left up for grabs by 5th Ward Councilman Peter Cunningham will be taken by Phil Cohen, avoiding a runoff by about 2%. And, you know, really strong vote totals across the board from the incumbents, but in particular, you've got Councilwoman Tiffany Fisher, you got Councilman Mike DeFusco, Councilman Ruben Ramos, and Councilman Mike Russo, all over 900 votes. And, you know, Jen Giattino, also the council president, of course, our 6th Ward representative in the Biosquare, a good showing as well, in a real dogfight with Kristen Crickle-Powell and that third candidate, Frank Rosner, but still able to pull it out with over 700 votes. So that's it in a nutshell. I mean, anything about this result that surprises you?
Well, John, I remember it was back in May, 6 months ago already. It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
When they launched, when Hoboken Mayor Ravi Bala announced his council slate, and I was there in attendance. It was at the Willow Avenue Bar and Grill on Willow Avenue and 10th Street. And
10th and Willow, yeah.
10th and Willow, I should say. And that's where he introduced, for the first time, he introduced his 5 council slate members that he was hoping would defeat the incumbents. And so I obviously asked him the question, for example, Mayor, if all 5 happen to lose come November, how will that affect your governing style and your ability to govern the city, knowing that you've had some difficulty with the incumbents on the dais? And he said, well, once the elections are over, we all come back as a family. We look forward to putting policies, we look to work together to put policies forward that benefits all Hoboken residents. And we will continue to work together. So it was interesting to hear him say that at the time. Maybe at the time when he answered that, he was hoping maybe all 5 would win, but it turned out that only one of his council slate members, Phil Cohen, won the 5th Ward seat.
Yeah, exactly. And listen, you know, congrats to everyone who was on the ballot this year in Hoboken and beyond. We want to just extend our greatest thanks for allowing us to converse with you and making us a part of the process. And thank you to all our readers and viewers that tuned in, that read, that you know, made sure that they were informed before heading to the polls. You know, it does mean a lot, and I'm sure you would agree with that sentiment. And the other thing, anyway, specifically on Hoboken, I mean, it's very interesting what we're going to see in 2021. I mean, it sounds like Councilman DeFusco is all but ready to announce, as you may have seen the Facebook post about his win, where he said, quote, that he's willing to work with the mayor for the next 2 years. So obviously council terms are for 4 years, so you do the math on that one.
And he said as long as the mayor follows the legislative process, I think he also said too.
Yes, correct. I mean, it was a long post, but it looks like he's running. We'll see if anyone else on the council decides to throw their hat in. 2 years is an eternity in politics, especially Hudson County politics. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.